18-year-old girls don't just vanish. Not on graduation trips, not in crowded tourist islands, not surrounded by friends, but on May 30th, 2005, one girl got into a car with 3 men, and that was the last time ever anyone saw her alive. Nobody, no crime scene, no confession that held up, just silence, lies, and one name that refused to go away. This is the disappearance of Natalee Holloway. It was supposed to be a celebration, graduation, freedom. A group of high school seniors from Alabama had just finished one chapter of their lives, and they were ready to start another. So they did what many students do. They went to Aruba, white sand beaches, crystal clear water, music, parties, no rules. And right at the center of it all was Natalee. Bright, responsible, friendly. The kind of person parents trust and friends rely on. This wasn't someone who just disappears. On May 29th, 2005, the group heads out to a popular nightclub called Carlos and Charlie's. Music blasting, drinks flowing, people everywhere. It was loud, chaotic, and fun. And somewhere in that noise, Natalee meets 3 young men. One of them stands out immediately, Joran van Sloot. He was tall, confident, and smooth. He wasn't a stranger to the nightlife scene. He knew the island. He knew how to talk. He knew how to woo women. And most importantly, he knew how to make people feel comfortable. As the night went down, the group begins heading back to their hostel, but Natalee doesn't go with them. Instead, she chooses to live with Joran and 2 of his friends, Deepak and Satish Kalpo. 3 men, 1 car, 1 big decision. And in that moment, everything changed forever. Multiple witnesses confirmed it. Natalee was last seen getting into that car, laughing, relaxed, and not in distress. Just another teenager enjoying her last night on vacation. But that car is where the trail ends. The next morning, Natalee doesn't show up for a flight home. At first, it seemed like a mistake. Maybe she had overslept. Maybe she missed the alarm. But as the hours went by, panic began to spread. Her friends alerted teachers. Teachers alerted authorities. Authorities called her mom. And within hours, Beth Holloway is on a plane to Aruba. What followed was one of the most intense missing person searches in recent history. Police, volunteers, locals, tourists, everyone was looking. The beaches were searched, hotels were checked, the entire island was combed. But nothing. No footprint, no belongings, no signs of struggle. It's like Natalee just disappeared into thin air. So, very quickly, attention turns to the three men she was last seen with, Joran and the Kaupo brothers. They were questioned. At first, they talked. They admitted they were with her. They said they dropped her off at the hotel, alive and safe. But there was a problem. No one saw her return. No cameras, no witnesses, nothing, absolutely nothing. And as investigators digged deeper, their stories began to change. There was a shift in timeline, and details didn't match up. 1 minute, they were confident, the next, they were unsure. Then suddenly, they stopped talking. Lawyers stepped in, and now the only people who might know what happened are no longer speaking. Rumors began to spread. Was she taken? Was she harmed? Was there a cover-up? Some believed local authorities weren't doing enough. Others believed the truth was being protected because this wasn't just a case anymore. It was intentional. Media from all over the world arrived, and the pressure was massive. Over the years, there has been multiple breakthroughs, confessions, witnesses, hidden tips. At one point, Joran even gave a detailed account of what happened, claiming Natalee died suddenly on the beach. But later, he took it all a step back, said he was lying. And just like that, the truth slipped away again and again. Time moves on, but the case doesn't. Nobody is ever found. No one is ever convinced for her disappearance. And yet, the name Joran van der Sloot refuses to disappear. Years later, in 2010, he murdered another young woman, Stephanie Flores Ramirez. This time, there was no mystery, no disappearance, just undeniable proof of what he was capable of. Even without a conviction for Natalee, the story didn't end. In 2023, Joran finally admitted involvement in her death as part of a plea deal tied to an extortion against her family. But here is the thing. Even that confession came with limits. Details were still unclear, and nobody was still missing. And for many, it wasn't closure, just another piece of a puzzle that may never be complete. The reality is, the case is unsettling for one simple reason. There is no ending, no final answer, just a moment in time where a girl got into a car and vanished. So if you ever think something like this can't happen, think again. Because Natalee Holloway didn't disappear in a dark alley. She never disappeared in isolation. She disappeared in a place full of people, music, life. And the scariest part, the only thing that stood between her and everything that came after was a single decision to get into that car. And we will never know what really happened next.